Podcast number 11, Part 2. Navy Federal approved less than 50% of Black home loan applications in recent data analysis. Without further ado, MISS.Q, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so Navy Federal Credit Union is a credit union that was initially meant to help for service members, current service members, and veterans and their families. Well, now that there are people outside the military, they don't have military affiliations that have been joining it a lot recently, but that's what it was initially meant for.
It's one of our most read stories on news4jax.com. A recent analysis found Navy Federal Credit Union had major discrepancies between the approval rates of loans to white or Black applicants.
And Navy Federal Credit Union does this great thing where there are different types of loans, right? As a veteran or as a service member, you get your VA loan, which is a 0% down payment, right? All the other types of loans that are available to everybody, you have to make a down payment, right? But Navy Federal allows you to have one of those other types of loans besides the VA loan and not make a down payment, right? So you get the benefits of having those non-government loans, but also having the benefit of not having to pay an interest rate.
The investigation found America's largest credit union rejected more than half the applications filed by Black members looking for a conventional mortgage.
So I say on your mortgage. So I say all of that to say that it was really good benefits, right? What a study found recently is that Navy Federal Credit Union is attributing to redlining by denying their Black applicants. I think 75% of their Black applicants were denied.
White applicants were approved more than 75% of the time.
Which is crazy. And I have experience with that because they said this in the article too, that people would apply for a home loan with Navy Federal and they would get denied and they would go apply with somebody else and get approved. And I've seen that, like, as a real estate agent when I was, selling houses, I would see that all the time. Because I would always tell my veterans to apply to Navy Federal because of those really good benefits that they give you, right? And they were also so generous with like giving out other types of loans and giving out credit, right? But that's only if you could get approved.
According to analysis by CNN, Navy Federal Credit Union only approved 48% of Black mortgage applicants last year. White borrowers were approved 77% of the time. That gap is the highest among the top 50 mortgage lenders.
I'm pretty sure that Navy Federal, whenever they do come out, they're probably going to say something along the lines of, it's not our fault, it's our system, it's automated. But the problem with any type of automation is any type of like artificial intelligence, it is based upon the information that comes from our society, and our society is biased against people of color, particularly Black people.
Data also shows Navy Federal was more than twice as likely to deny Black mortgage applicants than white ones, even when different variables were the same. For instance, the same income, debt, property value, or down payment percentage.
Whatever the numbers were, it was a huge disparity. Black people were getting denied at high rates and white people were getting approved at really high rates. And when they compared them apples to apples, not even apples to apples, there was a snippet that I saw where it was like Black people who had like over 100K in income were denied at higher rates than white people who had like 60K in income. And everything else about their applications matched up. Their credit history, their employment history, all that stuff matched up. And even still, with having a leg up of having more income, they still were getting denied at higher rates than white people.
I feel validated at one point, but also I feel a bit of anger because it shouldn't be happening.
Bob Otandi is one of the report's examples. He's a Texas entrepreneur who immigrated from Kenya. Otandi told reporter Renee Marsh Navy Federal was his first choice for a mortgage. The credit union is the largest in the nation, serving military members, veterans and their families, and defense personnel.
I was the CEO of my company, so I had a pretty good income.
Your credit was in the 700s. Mm-hmm. You'd recently sold your house. Mm-hmm. You had $100,000 for the down payment, which was more than 20%.
Correct. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Now words from Brother COMARK.
It's crazy because I believe it was Oprah years ago who did the study where she was like, if we put an African-American name on a sheet of paper in employment and you put it on your name and you put African-American, you send it into an employer, right? You get denied. But if you put that same name on an employment sheet, and when you put Caucasian, it would get accepted. And that's the exact same thing that, we would do, like they're doing right now. It's crazy how this scenario is going.
Otandi had a pre-approval from Navy Fed, then was rejected in a letter that listed excessive obligations in relation to income as the reason.
What we need to do is stop using the ethnicity on it to put that background so that people cannot deny you because of that. And I know we have it. What is it called?
Fair housing. I know for real estate, it's fair housing.
No, it's fair landing law. Fair landing laws. You can't. There it is, right there. All that. It's like 7 laws in like every state, so you can't discriminate. And that's exactly what Navy Federal did with all those applicants. 77%, I think, is what it was, and like 48 of white, Black African Americans. So I think it's just stupid, man, how they did. And then they didn't want to answer like why it happened. And you can't blame it on the system, because if that's the case, the system has always screwed us when it comes to jail, getting unemployment, employment. Everywhere, the system has always failed African Americans when it comes to, I'm gonna say African American, Latino Americans.
When they denied is when we came back and said, oh man, there's something else going on.
And what did you think that something else was?
Discrimination.
Everybody has always failed the Black and brown communities, regardless, us. So the system don't work. If we need a system, we're gonna call it a system. We need to cut the system out and fix the system, because the system ain't working, period.
Lisa Rice is a fair housing advocate who says the analysis may not prove discrimination, but the dramatic racial disparities are stunning and disappointing.
The Black-white homeownership gap and the Latino-white homeownership gap today are both wider than they were in 1968 when we passed the Federal Fair Housing Act.